Well, one of the things that my parents taught me is always look out for opportunity, and opportunity is going to present itself to you. And they also told me that you're going to hit crossroads in your life. Um, Not a lot of them, but a few of them. And when you hit that crossroad, you can go forward, you can go to the right, you can go to the left, but you can't go back. And so they taught me to find opportunity and to take advantage of it when it's presented to you. That's how I've operated. That's how I got to where I am. And this is how it started. It's kind of an interesting story. When I moved to Alaska, I was in banking. I worked at both my wife and I worked at what they called First Trust in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was an affiliate of First Bank Minneapolis, and it was their trust agency. They dealt in stocks, bonds, things like that. And I was just kind of a clerk, push paper. We moved to Alaska in 1987 after I had met my wife at work, and we started dating, and her dad had moved to Alaska about a month before we met. And so we dated a year before I actually met him. But anyway, I came up to Alaska to meet him, asked for her hand in marriage because that's what you do. And we moved to Alaska. All I knew was banking. And so I figured at that time, and it actually, young Bruce, I always refer to young Bruce. Young Bruce was absolutely correct. This would be the only summer I would have off until I retire. And so I wasn't in a rush to go to work when I got to Alaska. I think we got up in here June of 1987. And then I started looking for a job in August of that year. And I got hired at this place called Alaska Mutual Bank. And my first job here was working with the vice president of operations. I was her assistant. And so I just did whatever needed to be done. I can't even remember half. I did a lot of reconciling and just nonsense. And then Alaska at the time in 1988 the economy was tanking. Actually, when we moved up here, people were leaving in droves, and we were like, people are going, "Why are you moving there? There's no money to be had." And I'm like, I have no mortgage. We have no kids. We have just a small car payment. If it doesn't work, I can always go back to Minneapolis. And so when I did get hired, they offered me two positions. I took the one with the operations manager, and then I said, my wife, she would be really good at this other one, which was in their loan department, if I remember correctly. And then I worked for the vice president of the bank for about 6 months, and then they moved me over into the collections unit because the economy was going bad and people were turning their houses in, and mortgage payments were going in default. And so I was over there, and while I was working there, I met this woman. Her name is Yoyon Far. Yoyon is a Korean woman who was married to an attorney. And for whatever reason, her and I hit it off, just good friends. And one day she stopped me in the hallway and she said, "Hey, my husband has a paralegal position open. You should apply." Opportunity. The banking industry was tanking. My wife and I figured it's not a good idea to have both our salaries connected to the same income source. And so I figured, why not? The problem was I didn't know what a paralegal was, let alone what a paralegal did. So I went and interviewed for this job, with her husband. His name is John Farr, really nice guy. And they hired me. And they said, don't worry, we'll train you. And I went, okay. And so, but I got hired on less than what I was making, which is a point that I try to tell my son sometimes. Sometimes you got to take a step backwards in order to leap forward. And so I took a pay cut from what I was making there to go and work with John Farr as this paralegal. I figured maybe there's an opportunity here. And I remember to this day, I tell people about it all the time. I remember to this day, my first day sitting in the office is the first private office I've ever had in my life. And I was sitting in this office in an overlook 4th Avenue in downtown Anchorage. And I sat at my desk and I just went, what did I just get myself into? And I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I just jumped into it. And he told me basically what he wanted done. And then I just figured it out. If I had questions, I would ask, he'd answer it. But I tried to figure it out, and I did grunt work. I went down to the law library and I pulled cases, and I went down to the court house and I pulled court records, and I started reading court records. And part of his practice was criminal, or half of his practice was criminal work and the other half was civil. So I got to taste of both. But what kind of got me into it is I realized as I was moving along, I had two things. I had the gift of gab, and I never gave up on something. And I just kept going until I solved it. And so, which is a good trait if you're an investigator. And so, but I didn't even know at the time. I can't even begin to tell you how many conferences I've taught at. But every single one of them, I always learn. I'm always looking for something new to learn. And so that in a nutshell is how I got to where I was at. And when I talk about, when I told you about those awards that I got, I'm always surprised by it because I didn't do anything extraordinary. I just did what was right. And that's it. I wasn't out trying to be super investigator. Frankly, I don't think I'm the best investigator in the world. I think there's a lot of investigators out there that are much better than me. They're better writers than me, better interviewers than me. I just do the right thing. And so the first year I won it, I was totally surprised by it. And this year I was one when I won it again, I really didn't understand because I'm just doing my job. That's it. And that's what I was always taught. Just do your job and do what's right.